Darn it, it is.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Let's go upside down.
We're live, and we're upside down. Yeah.
Okay, hello everybody. We are trying this
Oh
cool
my
technical
Gosh,
device here.
this is crazy. See,
Okay.
it's too high.
Is it too high?
Yeah.
Okay.
See it?
There you go.
There we go.
We have tried.
Oh my
We have this
gosh.
cool little thing that we're trying. We saw this. It's a round circle that gives the light. See, this is kind of like why it's so
Yeah, you
bright.
can see the little white thing up here.
Uh-huh. And then with this little tripod thing.
Yeah.
But we had it upside down as we started.
We're trying to be better technically savvy for
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah. But we're getting better. We're getting better at this.
Yeah,
So, anyway, good morning, or good
Or
afternoon,
or evening.
or evening.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we're just excited to see you. Or look, everybody's in there. All right, hello everybody.
I'm
Oh,
gonna find us on here so I can follow.
we found this new little technical thing that we're doing. Now we'll be able to watch you live, or watch it live on the computer.
We're trying to better ourselves for you guys.
Yeah, and we are in the coolest place.
Yeah, we did start upside down, Jay.
Did we start upside
Yeah.
down?
I tried to wire it with the cord at the top, so Jay goes, "Aren't we going to be upside down?" I think, no, I think our phone will handle it, and we started upside down.
Oh,
But
oh.
isn't that fitting of our lives right now?
Oh, what a great analogy for our lives.
We would be a good reality show lately.
We would. You know, also, I was just wondering, we didn't check the sound, did we? On your phone, was your phone on, like the sound?
Of course, it's on.
It's on.
No,
I mean,
no, don't touch it.
Oh, okay.
If you can all hear us, give us a thumbs up. So
Yeah.
we'll know you can
Give
hear
us thumbs up if you can hear us. Give us some thumbs up if. Oh, look! There's a thumb up, thumb up, thumb
Yes,
up.
I think
Yay!
we're okay.
Okay, good. All right.
We missed you guys last week. It was a beautiful Easter. We had a good Easter, didn't
Wasn't
we?
that beautiful?
How were all your Easters?
Look at that! Everybody's commenting. Oh, it's wonderful. Okay. Oh well, I hope you had a great Easter. It was so beautiful. We celebrated the resurrection of the Savior Jesus Christ, and we're so excited, and we're just thrilled that we can all be alive and happy. And you know, one of the things that we're grateful for are wonderful people in our lives. And I was talking to Karina this morning as she comes back in the picture. We were saying, you know how in our hearts we think of charity and as being kind to others, right? Being sensitive, being aware of others, being to uplift them. But you know what? We always think of, I call it yin and yang. We always think of the yin part, like what can I do to help others? And that's wonderful. But there's a second part to this that I have really discovered lately, how wonderful it is that if you have a problem or a need or in need or in pain or whatever it is, to ask for help. And then watch what happens. It brings out such goodness in people. And then there's a yin and a yang to this, to charity. And it's been the most, like our friends back in Midway and Heber, and now.
Yes, and one thing about, you don't even have to ask people, like you just ask Heavenly Father.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you pray and you say, I'm struggling, we're struggling, we need help,
Yeah.
I need help, whatever. And Heavenly Father will send you what we call seen angels.
Yes.
And people are there for each other, and you never know the need. It might not even seem like a big deal to you when you're doing something for someone else, but it might be that you're the only person that is doing that for them, and maybe they just prayed that morning for specifically that little thing that you did to help them.
Yes.
And
because other people are praying that they'll be charitable and helpful, and I love that word you were using today about helpful. The word helpful, and so when you're asking for help in your prayers, it somehow, we don't know how it works yet, but the Lord connects people with
system.
people. There's a system out there.
Yep.
The power of prayer is very powerful, and so you watch how people will come to your need, and as you're humble and prayerful and thankful and appreciative, it works great. It's yin and yang. So anyway, that's
Yep.
my thought this morning.
Yeah, and some people have a hard time being the receivers
Yeah.
of service or of whatever, and there's something about being a thankful and a grateful receiver,
Yes.
and letting that person feel the joy and the happiness of being helpful, and
So true. And, I kind of look at it like communication. You know how when we think of, I'm going to communicate, is we think about it in one way. We think, oh, how can I come
Talking.
across? How can I
It's
come across as talking? But,
Yeah.
but there's a second part to communication, and
Yeah.
that's receiving.
yeah,
And
well, listening.
and listening.
Yeah.
Oh, how powerful that is.
Yeah.
Same with charity. It's giving and
Oh, I
receiving
like
graciously.
that. So it's the both sides.
It's very,
Right.
there's a law. There's a spiritual law as well as there's a communicative law. But it works yin and yang. And I love that word yin and yang because it goes both ways. And so to enjoy the full extent of a charitable situation is also to learn to receive. And I have been a terrible
you're such a
receiver.
giver.
Well, and most
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
great givers, but we also need to open our minds and our hearts to receiving when we need help. And that's why we're all here together, to help each other. And
And that's why we're here with you every Saturday. It's like,
Yes.
and realize that you think we're giving to you, but you're actually giving to us as well. And
Yes.
when we look at your comments, it actually gives us. It's been a hard, like for us, we don't like bear our burdens out everywhere, but we've had a hard time lately with, especially the last few years since. We've been really in a transient mode, and I know that it's like funny and stuff that we're gypsies. We try to make fun of it, but really, deep down in our hearts, we don't. I mean, it was fun for a while, but we really, really want to settle. We've been praying and hard for the last, especially year, just to find our spot and to be able to settle and not be. I told Jay, it's like, I feel like an Air Force brat on steroids, like where you move every year, but we're moving but it's for jobs, and Jay's been able to do some consulting with schools and do some things like that, but meaning we have to pick up and move, and which is great, because you go where the work
And
is.
I've
or
loved the
whatever.
consulting part because
Yeah.
people need help with marketing or they need help with organization or whatever it is that we need help with.
But it's been hard for us.
But it's been very difficult
So
lifestyle.
we appreciate the people. We appreciate you all, because what's happened this last year is we all meet together on Saturdays. It's given us a reason to okay, it's Saturday, get up and go do something
Yes.
fun. And we thought at first we're doing it for all of you, but it's been great for us. So
See,
thank you. We love you.
There's the
And
principle again.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
giving and receiving. You don't know how your comments, and by the way, look at that. So their comments are wonderful. And anyway, you don't know how they uplift us. And so
Yeah.
it's both giving and receiving. And we want to thank you for tuning in and your comments and your participation and your it's just a wonderful thing. We hope we can. That's why I love what Kathy Kinsella said one time. She says, you really are. This is a connecting, situation. Osmond Connection, and that's why we changed the name. Is Osmond Connection, and we want to
It was
connect.
something that we had said that day on
Yeah,
our-
what was that?
And she called and said, you said something, I don't even know if you realize what you said, because
Yeah.
I said we're all connecting here and
Yes.
whatever, and you said it too. And then Kathy called us later and said, I think you guys said something you didn't even realize you said.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Anyway,
It is so great. And
but going right along the lines of those seen angels and those people in our lives, we are just really this week we've been really heavy-hearted
yeah,
and mourning the loss of Angela Sweeney.
yes,
And I just I remember my first time I met her, and I know a lot of you. She's touched your lives. Why don't you scoot in a little more?
Are they hearing us okay?
Yeah,
Maybe?
they
Okay.
sure are.
Okay. Good.
And she's touched a lot of your lives. We know that there were some people that couldn't hear, that were hard of hearing, that she would translate, even do a transcript of this visit. And we if there's anyone else that wants to step in and do that, but she just was always going around and doing things for others, and what a wonderful giving soul. And we know that those people who are that way here, they go beyond the veil and they continue doing what they were doing.
Yes,
and
they do.
she'll be there for all of you. She'll be able to be there in ways that she wasn't able to be there in this life, being a mortal, person. And now she's going to keep helping, and
Yes.
she's going to help keep giving, and that's the way it works.
It really does. And we strongly believe that when you pray, God will send angels to your rescue.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Angela will come to many of you who've known her and be there for you, just like we feel our parents are very close by. But that's how the Spirit works too. He connects people to people. And so Angela, I remember so many times she would be so kind, and she'd always show up at our shows, and then we'd talk after the show, and we would laugh, and she'd show us pictures of when she was father and mother loved her, and she'd show pictures of father and mother, and
when she was younger.
when she was young. I didn't realize that she was with us like early 70s.
Yeah.
And
well, you were saying you remembered her later 70s,
in
but
the,
it
I
was
did.
even earlier. She was
I didn't
around.
know that. Yeah. But we really believe that life goes on. This is one of the great things about the gospel, is that it gives us purpose for being here, and it gives us hope for the next life. And one of the
Jesus
reasons,
Christ does that for everyone.
that's why I loved Easter so much, because it's all about hope. Easter, the Lord gives us that hope when He was resurrected, and so it gives us a chance, and also the purpose of why we're here, and why we're here to help each other. It's really that simple, and it's people make it complicated, but it's really not. The gospel is not complicated at all. It's just being simple, being kind and loving and forgiving.
I like how it's not only focusing on that we will all be resurrected or we'll all live again, but it's overcoming death, but overcoming the things in our life.
Yes.
And the atonement. One thing I never really got until my divorce, when it was just really, I had like severe PTSD. It was a bad situation there. Some matches just are not meant to happen.
Right.
but
Exactly.
I really turned to the Savior. I prayed to help the atonement get me over my scars and wounds here and the problems I was dealing with, and it was just a miracle. I healed, like I was going to someone for help with that, and she told me, you did like 2 years worth of healing in 2 months, like because I prayed to apply the atonement to my healing, and I never had before realized that the atonement, I knew it was for sin. I knew it was, and I think I just hadn't expanded my brain. It probably had been being taught to me the whole time, and I just wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
But when you apply a lesson personally and you exercise it, use it,
That's right.
you really get a deep testimony of, what it is. And I'll just...
Well, it's for all pain, really, isn't it?
Overcome any pain,
or
any
sorrow,
hardship.
or hardship, or guilt, or whatever it is.
So we don't usually talk this religious, but it's kind of our catch-up for Easter.
Yeah,
So...
Yeah.
But anyway, I hope that's okay if I shared that with you. It's like a personal witness that it just, for me, that's what Easter means.
Sure, and that's
overcoming.
Exactly, that's beautiful.
Anyway.
People out there, I just feel so close to you, because I've met many of you out there, and the connection though. But some of your comments, and we want to get to those today. Boy, we said we'd love to hear some of your questions, and wow, all these questions.
You guys are great at responding.
Responding like
My goodness.
instantly, like
I think in 5 minutes we had 185 or something.
Yeah, it was just like, wow. So what we'd like to do is get to some of those questions.
First let's tell them our surprise.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Did I squirrel again, or did you squirrel?
No, we just didn't have an outline today because it's so insane.
And by the way, I want to talk to you about this, but not now. It's amazing.
We're doing this diet stuff, but we told someone that we would try it out, and if we lost the weight that we wanted to lose, that we'd tell you about it. So
and it's like working like crazy.
Jay's doing really good. Doesn't Jay look good?
Oh, I don't know.
He's lost over 20 pounds. He's doing really good.
I'm feeling much better, but this is amazing. It's healthy. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Because I'm an emotional eater, And it stopped me from doing that because even though I have tendencies to mince or munch or whatever they call it, snack, what this does, this new plan, it gives you structure, it fills you up,
We're not hungry.
But we're not hungry, and it's healthy. Anyway, we'll talk to you about it later. We won't
Jay's
give
got
it away.
another week or so.
I got a couple
Because we
more
said
weeks.
we're not gonna say it until we lose our weight.
I know.
I'm having a harder time.
What?
I think because I'm a woman of a certain age, I'm not dropping weight as fast as you.
But you're looking great.
But I think guys drop weight faster.
I don't know. You're looking great.
You're sweet.
Oh, what do you?
He's so sweet. He's
She's
so sweet to
silly.
me.
I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't get it.
But so kind of our surprise that we had.
Oh yeah.
And I know that there are several of you that will think it's funny that we're but okay. So for probably how long now, Jay? Almost 2 years. We've had
at least 2 years.
We've had this goal, and we've had this desire. Like we've been renting and transient, and for the jobs and stuff. And we knew when we moved to Arizona, we weren't going to live there forever.
Yeah.
We thought we got there, and we kind of went, maybe we should just move here. It's been such a journey for us. Remember that house we were going to buy?
Oh, we were
And then when
so
that
many
fell
times.
through-
And she would design these beautiful houses
But
we're going
the
to
one we were
build.
going to buy, remember, and the basement was shifted.
Oh yes.
And we did the inspection, and they said this basement
Yeah.
is shifted. Like, don't buy this house. It's
I
gonna
remember
cave
we
in.
actually did a live podcast
did, didn't
at the
we?
house. We said, "This is the
Yeah.
house we're going to buy," but then a week
But then
later.
but when that fell through, we just went, we just don't feel like we belong here.
I
We're in
know.
Arizona, and we've gotten job offers like crazy. We got job offers up in Idaho, in Utah, and Jay's pretty much retired. And the musical's coming and all that. We can catch up on that.
Yeah.
But we've really secretly been, the last almost 2 years now, wanting to move to the land of Jay's people.
Yes.
Tell him about it.
Oh, well, again, to go back a little bit, people kind of not make fun, but some people say, "Oh, you gypsies," but we've really been struggling with where we need to be and end up. And
And we've been
prayerfully asking God to help us through this process. And I have been tugged and pulled, I can't tell you how many times, to return to this wonderful place called Star Valley. And Star Valley, Wyoming. And my father, of course, my great-grandfather was one of the founders of this area, and he was the first stake president. He built the tabernacle, and he was very prominent. And then his son, my father's father, grew up. He was born in Afton here, and then father was born in Etna, and then moved
Just
to
the
Thane.
next town over.
The next town over by Thane, which is my favorite city. I'm in
Yeah.
Thane. I won't go through that, but anyway. But every time we come, we get tugged and pulled back, and we said, our goal is that we want to settle. We just want to, even though we're going to be adventurous, we're still going to travel here and there, but we want to anchor. Everybody needs an anchor,
So
a home where you call home.
How many years ago was it? Was it a year and a half ago? We bought a lot in Midway, Utah, and we had the plans already engineered.
Yeah.
And everything, went in and tried to get the building permit, got all the way to where they were finished and we could pull our permit, and just didn't feel right about it. And we just, because we were being prayerful, and we just didn't feel right about it.
Yeah.
And so we thought, okay, well, let's build an Orem. And we had to change the plans. In fact, the plans ended up being whole different plans because of the building covenants in the neighborhood. And we got all the way to where we got put in for our plans again. We just didn't feel good about it. And so it's been a process for us, and it's been painful. We don't really let you in on anything that's not positive because we want to be uplifting. But it's been a painful couple of years.
It's been really
to
hard.
figure out where we belong.
It's been hard because everybody, like I said, wants to settle. And we're all adventurous. We all love to travel.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're going to still do adventurous,
But if you
fun
don't have
travel.
an anchor.
The anchor. Home is an anchor. And that's when my mother was always talking about home. You can go out here, but home is an anchor. And it's so true. But when you're a gypsy for 2 years, you really appreciate that. And
last summer we even have So we're up in Star Valley, Wyoming right now. We're last summer we even had a building lot that we acquired it, and then when we were in Arizona and we thought we were going to maybe buy that home there, we let go of it because we thought, well, maybe we'll live in Arizona. Then when it didn't work out, we were like, oh shoot, what did we do? We let go of it.
I know.
And it's gone. But there's another one here that we've been working on. So we just thought, so one of the things that a friend of ours, Brenda, I know some of you know Brenda Engel, she helped check everyone in at the big fan gathering in Vegas when we had that friend reunion. Brenda's been a close friend of mine for, gosh, like 25 years, 20 years. And she's a great friend of Jay. She's really good. You know, all three of us together lots of times, and she's a great person. And but she told us before conference on Saturday, you know, pray about something and take it to the Lord during conference, and you'll get an answer.
That's right.
So we've been praying about Wyoming for
a long time.
But we had that specific prayer, and after even the first session of conference, we just knew it was right. Yeah. And we were living, when we came back from Arizona, and we were in Utah these last few months, very, very transient. I mean, just very, we knew we weren't staying wherever it was. We knew we were looking for our landing spot. Oh,
and by the way, we had some wonderful friends that blessed our lives in Heber.
John and Molly, you met them.
John and Molly and Arlen and Arla Kohlers. Oh, gosh.
Because we couldn't. The thing is, with Utah, you can't really rent anywhere. We didn't want to live there. We didn't know it was right, so we didn't want to buy a home. Yeah. And we knew there were job offers in other states, and so you can't rent unless you do a year lease.
That's right. They're requiring that.
Or at least 6 months. And we were like, we can't do that. So John and Molly were like, are you kidding? They have this huge lodge up in Heber. And they were like,
kind people.
Just come here. So anyway, we're hoping we're settling.
Well, we know we are.
Please pray for us that this will work out. You know,
because I'm done.
It's painful.
It is painful.
It's painful.
It is.
So we'd appreciate all your prayers that we can finally settle, and you know, we joke that we're gypsies, but it was fun at first, but gosh, it's painful now that we're gypsies.
And again, it's not that we don't love to travel, because we still will travel and be and fun, but everybody, like I say, wants to come back to
our stuff shouldn't be in storage lockers.
We're in what, 3 storage lockers now?
Yeah, but one's building supplies.
One is building.
Anyway,
we don't want to go into that one.
No. I'm talking too much. I'm sorry.
No, you're doing.
No, anyway.
Silly girl.
So.
No, you're great.
The questions, more of the questions, I think are going to be for you. So
well,
what
we were looking at a whole bunch of them last night.
Let me get to the.
And one of them was like, she said, "Now I can't remember what you said about Star Valley, because a long time ago we came
the
to
Star.
Yeah, the Star. We came. Oh gosh, it's almost been a year ago we were here when we first started actually this our weekly get together, and we came to we saw Travis and it was fun. It was the rodeo, and then we went up by the temple here, and then we talked about Star Valley and how it's like there's something about the star that my father loved. And maybe it was because of Star Valley here, and he eventually says, you know, there's five points to a star. And by the way, I grew up in a place called 5 Points, 5 Points to the star in Ogden. And Father had his insurance agency called 5 Points Agency. That was his agency. So he loved it. And he told me one time, and he says, you know what that means, don't you? The 5 points in my mind. And I said, what does that mean, Father? He says, well, I think a well-balanced person is mentally strong, physically fit, socially boundaried, spiritually in tune, and financially stable. I'm going, oh, I love those goals. He says, those are goals that you really should work towards. And it stuck with me.
Yeah.
It just stuck with me. And he always, like Christmas time, we'd put a star on the top of the tree. And he loved the star, and he drew a perfect star. He just loved that little symbol. So Star Valley has a meaning there.
And I forgot who asked him that question.
And
It's in
I
the
know
questions.
I can't remember her name.
So I'm going to get to this, and
thank you. We'll find your name
Yes,
when we
we'll
go
find
back. Thank you for asking that question.
Okay, this is from Tracy Delgado Graves.
Okay.
Oh, I know her.
Tracy.
I know her husband. I went to school with him, Calvin.
Oh.
Tell Calvin hi. Okay, Jay, growing up as a child, what were some of the hardest things you had to give up since you were on the road a lot and the other kids got to do and you would have liked to have done?
Okay, come back in the picture. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you, Tracy, for that question. I think growing up was very... I was so blessed to have such a great lifestyle, but the whirlwind of our lifestyle, you give up certain things, you sacrifice certain things for other things.
And he's not complaining.
And I'm not complaining, but there was a time in my life that I felt, I no longer feel this way because I've made up for everything, but I felt a little deprived that I didn't go to a normal setting in school, have regular friends, and go to the prom and play on the football team. That I just felt like I was in a different world. And I looked, how some people will look at like people in show business and not envy, but like, I wonder what that lifestyle's like. Well, when you have that, I'd love to do that, or I'd love to be that, or be this kind of person, or have this kind of money or fame or fortune, whatever people think about show business. But then the people in show business, or I was anyway, looking towards the normality of life and how the lifestyle of my friends, some of my buddies had, they'd go to school and they'd have, they'd tell me some of the fun things that went on in school, what they're learning, and what there's their girlfriend here and that.
You made up for that.
I made up for all that stuff. But anyway, growing up though, you struggle. Everybody struggles in one way or another, but if you work through those struggles, they can become your strengths. And so, so one of the things that's one of the things that I felt I missed out as a kind of a normal adolescent life.
I just left you a minute ago because I'm so normal. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm weird. I'm so weird. I just was looking at my slippers over there, and my feet were cold, so I went to put my slippers on, and this was inside.
Oh gosh.
It's a British plug. Look at that. It's one of those. Anyway, that was
okay. I have to tell you one other thing. It's really funny because we lived in boxes for 2 years, in totes. She has what she calls now fashion wars, and she found a piece over there, a thing over there, and we went through how many boxes or totes did we go through?
Everything's jumbled up. It's a big shell game.
Okay, we're going to change that in our life. We're going to finally be.
Oh, I hope so.
We're going to finally find a place.
We need all your prayers. And we pray for you all too. We really do. Okay.
Okay, another question.
All right.
Oh, there's so many good questions, and thank you for all the people. And I know there's been a couple people say, I've written this question but it never get answered.
There's a great one.
And we're going to try. We really are going to try to get answered.
There's a lot here, though, Jay.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But we appreciate you being
involved. Yes, there's like 500 something. Okay, this is a great Monica Green Disick. Okay, my question is one I ask my students a lot. What has been the biggest blessing you received in your life, and what is the greatest lesson you've learned? And then there's a follow-up to that. Along with that, what's the biggest blessing you've given, and what's the lesson you've taught others? So even if you want to touch on one or two of those, the biggest lesson you've learned, maybe, and whatever you pick.
What comes to my mind right now is that we're all trying in life. The biggest blessing is to see, that I have felt right now is people being honest and real and showing that and I love to know, what are your struggles? What are your challenges? And what are some things that you like to do to make you happy? We live in a very tough time where this COVID thing is so in front of people's minds. But if we also take a moment and the biggest blessing is to be grateful. And I just think if we can just look at these challenges as opportunities, and what can we do to not only overcome our challenges, the greatest blessing is to know that you can do that with prayer and overcome your challenges, but help others overcome theirs.
Yes.
That's the greatest blessing I think I know. That if we're just grateful.
Okay, isn't that such a sweet boy that you like? Your biggest blessing is to bless other people.
Well, it's I know as you do love people, and but
that's so sweet.
There was one time in my life that I said I don't like people. No, it was like a month of my life. It's because I got hurt, really hurt, and I know people that have said this to me too. She said I'm uncomfortable around people. I shun people. I go, I don't think that you don't like people, because I went through this for a month in my life, but I got really hurt one time by someone and a couple different people actually, and I just think that if we realize that everybody's sensitive on certain things, but if we can overcome that and understand that we got to maybe not learn to be so hurt, but not to put people on such pedestals sometimes too.
Yeah.
And then they get disappointed. But that we're all human. We all make mistakes, but we're all trying. And if you have that kind of attitude, I think that helps you through, and learn that really that people are people, and you can accept people the way they are and love them and forgive them. A lot has to do with yourself too. I used to be hard on myself and not forgive myself for things. But if we learn to forgive ourselves and love ourselves, and say, okay, I made a mistake, whatever, will be easier on others too, and maybe it'll kind of work that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Okay, Fran Monteleone.
Fran Monteleone, I love that. Your last name.
Jay, I understand that the late Maurice Gibb produced one of your albums. Did you like working with him?
Yes.
He's known for being very nice and humorous.
Oh, Fran, Morris was the funniest guy. He told me one time that he felt like he was the brother that didn't get quite the attention that he deserved.
Oh gosh.
He was so real with me, and he says, "So I'm here to make a statement that I can produce really good too." And I, he was a very talented producer, and he produced the album Steppin' Out with the brothers. Boy, that guy, he was brilliant, I thought. And you'll notice that in our harmonies, it was a lot of the Gibb kind of harmony. And
that's a great album.
I thought I thought he did a great job producing, and he was proud of that. And his brothers loved it. And Andy, his brother Andy, was really close to us, so anyway, that he was a character. That's all I can say. He was just a real character.
Okay,
But funny.
this one is Rachel Hinckley. Oh, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel.
She wanted us both to answer. What was your favorite subjects in school?
Favorite subject?
What was your favorite subject in school?
Tell you my worst ones.
What?
I am not left brain very much. I did not like physical science. I know that
you were good at it though.
I tried.
You're smart.
I finally got it, and the reason why I said I don't like it or didn't like it because I didn't understand it. But once I started understanding, it became fun.
Yeah.
And I think when someone say I don't like that subject, it's because maybe there's along the line you didn't quite get the concept
so
or whatever.
So what was your favorite?
Favorite? I always loved history.
Oh, okay.
Always loved history.
Yeah.
And that's why, I remember I told my friend, my neighbor who was the head of the history department at BYU, and I thought it was funny. I says, I wanted to major in history, and he says, well, why didn't you? And I says, because there's no future in it. And I thought it was funny,
He took it personal.
He took it personal. And he says, don't you ever say that. That's wrong thinking. And I go, well, I was just joking. Anyway.
I think I really liked home ec, which was
I'm addicted to these shakes.
Yeah, they're good.
I'm sorry.
Home ec, where you would learn how to do and it was probably in junior high even, but it was kind of my first crack at
home ec.
They called it home ec, home economics. So it wasn't just for girls; there were boys in there too.
Oh yeah.
But you would decide what you wanted to if it was the cooking segment, you'd have to order your ingredients from the teacher, and then on Friday would be the labs, which you would make your dish, and you had your 4 people in your group or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we learned how just to do basic home economics things like sewing. You had to sew a dress or something.
This is practical stuff.
Yeah, practical stuff that I've really used it a lot though. Also, I did a drafting class, and I've drafted all of our
This
homes.
girl can draft.
So I built 3 before I met Jay, but I draft the home. I draw them to start with, so they're in my mind, and I drafted for other people too. So some of those skills that you really enjoy, you can carry forward in your life. But
Wow.
thank you, Rachel. That was a great question.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel.
Tell us your favorite, Rachel. What's your favorite subject? Also, I'm really good at English. I didn't realize.
Oh wow,
that,
she can write.
Anyway.
Man, she's, in fact, when I was performing with Meryl, she would do all of our bios and a lot of in the concert
At least
books.
yours, I did, and yeah.
Well, in the concert
That's true.
books
I
and
did
pictures,
compile all those.
she's a graphic artist by trade, but she did our videos, amazing. So, but anyway,
Okay.
that's just some wonderful questions.
Lana Gillespie Ramirez.
Lana, okay.
She wants to know, did you ever have any pets growing up?
Oh yeah.
With the long hours of rehearsals, being away from home, it seems keeping pets would have been hard.
Yeah, it was.
But father and mother put so much emphasis on home and family, and maybe they even managed to have family pets.
Well, I grew up with little dogs all my life. We always had a dog.
Every dog loves Jay. He's like Dr. Dolittle. Anyway.
I learned to love cats too later on, but at first my childhood was always with dogs, and
Yeah.
and Lady, I remember when I was ever since I was about 10 or 12, Lady came into my life, and she's a black German.
Where did you get Lady? You were talking
It was
about that.
actually we were performing in Lake Tahoe, and the security guard was moving. He said, "I have this beautiful dog. I have to find a good home for her." And I said, "Oh, I wish I would have had a dog right then, because we just got our dog before that had died, unfortunately, and I wanted it and I missed it." And Father said, "Well, we'll take him. We'll take her."
Oh, wow.
And so we took her to first to Huntsville, Utah, and then to Los Angeles, and where we lived. But anyway, so yeah, pets. Lana has always.
Tell them about Lady and how she'd wait for you at the gate.
She was. I don't know. You know how pets are. I always call them God's creatures.
Jay's allergies are up and going today.
Oh, am I crying again? Yeah, but pets have always. I really believe are God's creatures, and they're here to comfort us. And so, but Lady was almost human to me, and she'd sit by the gate where we left, and we always closed the gate. And she'd sit there, and the neighbor comes one time, his next door, he says, "I've never seen any dogs. It just waits and waits and waits for you to come home. Sometimes it'd be 8 hours, you know."
Wow.
So she just wait, and then of course she was always with me when I come home. But wow, it's just
It's kind of like me when you worked at that school in Arizona. I just wait for him to come home. I know how Lady feels.
No, it was really fun though. When I was working at ALA, we'd meet halfway because I'd walk to school. We were living close, and she would come wait. She'd come walk and meet me at a certain place, and I would meet her every day. So it was fun. Thanks for that question, Lana.
Cindy Jean
Hi, Cindy.
is asking, why did you call your mom and dad mother and father and mother instead of dad and mom or mom and dad?
Well, I didn't call them father and mother. Some of the brothers did, and Marie. I have little pet names.
Everybody.
I have pet names
He
for
still
everybody.
does.
Yeah. I called father. Now, don't laugh. I called him Par. Okay.
Now I want to ask you though, when you were a little 7-year-old, did you call him Parpar?
Yes.
You were allowed to call him Parpar.
Yeah, he loved it.
So even when you were a little boy,
Yeah.
he let you call. He didn't make you call him Parpar.
Well, okay. I'll take it back. I take it back.
before.
Excuse me. I called him father up until I was about 20.
Yes, that's what you told me before.
Yeah, I take it back. You're right.
I hope you guys don't mind me holding Jay's feet to the fire.
I forgot. I used to. I call him. When did I start calling him Parpar? And I go, wait a minute. I said 7. No, wrong. I was about 20 because I was afraid of father when I was growing up as a kid, and he was just like this. Wow, you walk in the room and you stand to attention. You know,
Respect.
Out of respect, not fear, but a little
so do you
fear.
think
but
that father and mother was a respect?
Yes.
Is that what it was?
It was always a respectful, but as I became, and he was never abusive, but he demands. You know, he was like a general. Just boy.
Yeah.
But I call him father up until 20 years old when he took me to the ranch, And he says, Jay, you know, I want you to know that I've been really hard on you your whole life, and demands. And are we okay?
It said something again. Anyway, go
okay.
ahead.
And you've met the marks and all the thing I've demanded that, but I want you to know I'm really sorry and forgive me. Oh, you're trying to reconnect. Something said trying to reconnect.
Oh, well, I hope we're on.
Uh,
Okay, so we're reconnecting.
Something's a reconnect. Yeah.
Okay, sorry everyone.
You want? Should we do a handheld?
Yeah, I'm just gonna plug this in because I
Okay.
think it helps. So go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, so we're up at this ranch, and he says, I want you to be a better father than I was, and I want you. I'm sorry about all the mistakes. I said, are you kidding, Father? You're a fantastic father. He said, you're a fantastic father, and I love you, but I never saw this side of him until I was 20 years old. Well, he'd play fight with us, and he'd hug us, and he'd tell us he loved us growing up a lot, and I knew he loved us, but I didn't see the tenderness in him until I was 20 years old. And I knew he just loved us, but he said there's two kinds of love. There's this kind of love, and then there's this hugging love. And he says, I've given you a lot of this love, but I want you to know that and he gave me the biggest hug. And so I started calling him Par after that for some reason, because I always said he was up to par and everything. So it was this kind of a little analogy I used, and so I called him Par. And I called him that till he died. And so and Mother, I always called her Angel, because she was one. So I guess I've always called Mother, but I also call her Angel too. So I have two different names for him. I have different names for a lot of people. I have pet names I call them.
That's why I'm Karina.
This is Karina, but a lot of my friends know that I have a friend named John Kohler, and I call him Johnner. And I have a friend named John Woodell. I call him Johnner too. But I call and friend named Chuck. I call him Chuckaroo. And I have a friend named Mark. I call him Marco Polo. And so I call different people different names. Oh, yeah, that works great. But anyway.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Are we live again?
We're trying so hard to be
It was the
better
funniest. I'm
technically.
talking and the phone goes.
Yeah, you all fell over.
You fell off, but you're
Okay.
back on.
I've got to read more questions
Okay,
now.
so let's move it to the side. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, now.
There.
Okay, now.
So you're going to have to come in a little bit.
Okay.
Don't worry about me.
Okay, so.
We're
all right.
technically challenged.
And all of you that love us, I know you've accepted our technical challenges here.
Oh my heavens, you guys! Like serious, we need to.
Okay. The reason why we took it off the hinge because we're running low on battery.
Well, but now I can't do it that way either.
Oh.
So whatever.
Then I'll have to handheld it.
And yes, we do need new phones. We have issues. Don't hold it against us.
Okay.
That's okay.
You want me to hold it?
No, it's okay. So I'm reading the next story. I'm reading the next question.
Okay.
It's okay. Darn, I had it. Jay.
Is it from?
Where was it here?
How about that one right there? There's some good
I
ones.
had a good one before it fell over.
Oh, there are so many good ones. Hi,
Oh,
Carol
here it is.
Hooten.
Carol Hooten. She says, did you ever sneak out after curfew or lights out while home or while you were out touring? I liked that question. That was hysterical.
Okay. Yes, a couple times.
Did you really? I wanted to ask you that question I was like, I want to know that.
Well, there was really no curfew, really. I mean, but one time I get curious where we are sometimes, and it was I think it was Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. Oh, was this mine or is this yours?
Can I have that?
This is yours?
Columbus, Ohio.
Uh-huh. And I was curious about Columbus, Ohio. And so I wanted to see what the neighborhood looked like. So I sneak around and I don't tell anybody. And I go out and I go to the store and I buy a couple things and it's just
Was it like in the 70s?
Yeah, and sometimes when I'd sneak around and I'd go out here and there, but when on your road, especially back in the 70s, it was kind of like hard to get around. So it was like a really fun challenge for me to go out and hide, or go, not hide, but go out when no one knew where I was. And it was a little dangerous to do that, but
I was going to say,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, looking back, you're probably, what was I doing?
What was I doing?
You know. Oh my goodness.
But I was just a curious kid. I was just always curious about everything.
Okay, Kim Simcock, this is funny.
Hi, Kim.
She said, what is the strangest secret you've ever had to keep? And what was the hardest one to keep, assuming they're not all secrets? Okay.
Wow, a secret. This has been a joke about me a little bit, about I can't keep secrets. I can keep secrets if they're sacred, but sometimes,
or you know they're important.
I know they're important. But the secrets that aren't that important
like
to me,
Christmas presents,
you know, I just kind of like, I like to give hints, you know, and so the hardest secret. Let's see, hardest secret. I think. Oh, there's a couple. Let me think which one is funny.
And she doesn't want you to share if they're still secrets.
No, they're not secrets anymore. But it's hard. I think it was always hard for Christmas time for me. The family couldn't tell me anything.
You know, the first time I met
because
Jason,
I would tell it.
Jason was like, "Okay, let me tell you a few things about Dad." Jason says one of the things is there's never Plan A. There's Plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know, but he doesn't tell you when he's shifting to the. But it's funny because we figured that one out.
I figured it out. I used to think it was a good thing.
But it was because Jay just wants to please everyone, and so he's never really. He wasn't before, but he's been, you know, after a couple of years being married, and I didn't have an initial in the game, in the alphabet. It was, what do you want to do? What do you want?
Yes.
Like I made him focus on what was his agenda.
I'm always trying to do what others want to do.
And I'm like, what do you want to do? And
That's
we'd
right.
sit there sometimes for a long time until he would say what he wanted to do. I wouldn't tell him
She'd
what
make me say what I wanted to do. And I go, well, I want to do what you want to do. That's not my question. What do you want to do? I go, I want to do because it makes me happy when I'm doing what other people want to do. Because I'm not really...
So I think he was the alphabetitis because he was trying to...
Well, I used to
And then
think...
this person would come along, and so he'd try to please them, and this person would try to please them, and he's like, okay, I realize what I did, because if you're like everywhere and nowhere... Anyway. And then the other thing Jason said, don't ever tell Dad what a Christmas gift is, or any kind of gift, because he'll tell.
So nobody tells me what they're getting for... I mean, nobody tells me anything. But I'm really good at holding secrets when they're important.
Yes, you are.
But
you are.
Christmas, I can't.
Well, like the musical, because you had to sign in.
That was the hardest, I think, Kim. I think that was the hardest secret of all.
That probably was, because for probably 3 years you weren't even allowed to tell the family members or
3
anybody
years
that you were working this musical.
And I didn't want to tell
legally
anybody.
you couldn't.
I couldn't do it, or I wanted to, you know. But yeah, that was the hardest secret. That was the hardest one, I think. Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So, and one of the reasons we're really excited about settling now instead of next year, we were going to wait to buy a home until next year.
Yeah.
But since the musical is, because of COVID, it had to be pushed to January.
Right.
You know, so we thought if we're not going to be going over to England, because Jay gets to cast, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
And then just travel around a little bit.
Yeah,
with the
but
cast.
It's now at the end of January it'll begin now. So
yeah, so we have all year just to kind of sit and do nothing.
Well, no, we're refining. Actually, we're refining the script.
We're gonna find.
We're working on little tweaks here and there. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Oh, cute. Everyone's just telling us they love us and they are thankful.
Thank you for all your comments. We love reading. We read at night. We read your comments at night. And there's some fun ones.
Each weekend for over a year now. When was the last time?
Deb Mitchell says, but I got to know the secret and I didn't tell. Deb Mitchell,
Deb just texted us. Yes, Deb.
You knew the secret, Deb, I know.
She did know the musical
and she
secret.
did not tell. I was so glad. Thank you, Deb.
Yes. We love you, Deb.
Yeah,
she popped in on our phone. Little Deb.
Little Deb.
We miss Deb. Okay, I have a question, except I don't really have a question, except do you recall being in Melbourne, Florida, December 2021?
Yes.
You and your brothers were doing a concert that night.
Yeah.
But during the day, it did a meet and greet at our car dealership. We heard about it on the radio, and we drove down.
Yes.
My husband was originally from Titsuville.
Titsuville,
So he knew the area well, and lifelong fan since the age of 6, turning on 64 this year.
Hi, Arlene.
I told my husband all about you, but he had never gone with me. I have to say, the excitement, he was converted that day, and he really, down to earth you guys were.
You know what?
And anyway, a husband of 41 plus years, last January, and she lost him last July and misses him so much. I just wanted to thank you for being sweet and genuine guys you are, for making that our special day and a memory I'll treasure.
Thank you, Arlene. You know, it was really interesting to me. Back in the 70s, you know, there were hardly any guys in our audiences, and because mostly young girls. But as we grew up together, all of us, I saw a change. This is the most interesting thing, and so I saw a lot more guys coming as dates,
right?
Then as husbands, then as grandfathers.
Yeah, and kids coming.
Kids, and people, young adults. You know.
You've been introduced to a lot of grandkids.
Yes.
And we've had young fans, like at the meet and greets.
Yeah.
Both in America and England, or the UK, who maybe just their grandmother passed away, and in their things were all these albums. And remember, there's been a few of those. And they got their grandma's albums, and they were playing the Osmond's music. And they became fans by their grandma's albums.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Cool stories.
And I just saw a note here. It's called Titusville. Excuse me.
Titusville, sorry about
Excuse
that.
me.
Okay. And I wanted to tell you, Brenda Morningstar was the one about the 5 points of the star. So she was asking you.
Oh, Brenda, thank you for
about
asking that question. Thank you, Brenda.
Yes. So some more thank yous.
Well, there's some wonderful questions that we were reading last night, and.
Okay, here's one.
Okay,
Debbie
this is from
Grandy Gibbon.
Debbie Gibbon.
Okay, is the word buddy a term of endearment for you and your family?
Oh, I know.
I've heard you call Tom Buddy. Meryl called me Buddy. I was wondering. Okay, so Debbie from Florida.
And Aunt May's dog is named Buddy.
Buddy, yeah.
The word buddy, is an endearing term in our family. I mean,
I think for a lot of people.
Really?
Oh yeah, I've always heard of Buddy.
We always referred
I called my little boys Buddy when they were. I still call them Buddy.
Do you?
Yeah.
Donnie calls me pal.
Oh.
But it like it's an endearment saying I consider you a good friend close friend. It's an endearment term. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Debbie.
Yeah, that's just a old buddy, old pal, old chum. What is that from? It's a movie line. I get them stick in my head. Sorry. Okay. Barbara Bain is wondering about your blood pressure.
Barbara. Hi, Barbara.
Barbara's a nurse, you know, so she's
Yes,
following up
that's
on
right.
you.
Oh,
Barbara's a sweet
You would
person.
not believe this. You would not believe this, but I've got my blood pressure now like 120 over 80 something, 82.
Consistently.
It's consistent now. I've got it down. Boy, you know, my sweet mother had, we lost her because of the blood pressure, not taking their medicine, and because she thought she's stronger than that. And we got to remember, she told me too before she died, take your meds when the doctor says to take your meds, and eat healthy. And so it was a warning to me, bless her. And so I said, I promise if I ever have blood pressure, which I do, that I would stay on my blood pressure medicine. And because that's one of the things that we forget to do sometimes, bless her. Okay.
Okay. Next
question.
Okay. Michelle Hoff-Boker.
Hi, Michelle.
Do you have any of the outfits from the 70s still?
Oh, I've got a couple.
What happened to those?
Okay. We found my coat on eBay. A lot of the times, here's what happens to our stuff, or it happened to our stuff. We had storage unit of a lot of things. We had boats and motorcycles and ski-doos and gold records and
all your old clothing.
Clothes and stuff. and some people knew where that was, and we didn't lock them up as tight as we should have, and we got looted really bad several times. There was one time even in Branson where we took a bunch of stuff at the airport. We had this big locker at the airport. It was just full of stuff. Father's and mother's bicycle built for two, and I mean everything was in there. And a plane crashed, and you can read this in the newspaper too. It's in Branson, airport crash back in 98, something like that. And you can read about it in the newspaper. And it took out not just our storage unit, but some others. And so we lost it in that. We lost some in the fire that we had in Memphis. We lost the Plan. The original Plan album was lost in the fire
The
at Memphis.
hotel, yeah.
At the hotel.
Tell them about that.
Oh,
Just
we
quick.
lost all of our costumes, a lot of our costumes.
Tell them about the plan
Yeah.
and how you.
Alan kept the lyrics in a notebook, right? But it was just one set. So Alan was working on the lyrics, and we had done a lot of the music, all that, but a lot of the lyrics were in this one notebook. And of course, when we were in Memphis, a lot of people know about the Memphis fire, where we took the whole floor, and I remember we were in talking to Father's and Mother's suite or something, and we hear a knock at the door. Fire! That wasn't a member of our team. Fire! 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 Knocking on all those to get out. And so we all get out. Of course, we leave everything, costumes, the Plan album, everything, and it was all burned up. The whole floor was burned. And the fire marshal later said that it was someone had to set it off because they didn't know who did. Some people tried to blame us, but they realized that it wasn't us. And the hotel realized it then.
One of the other floors.
Someone either was set on fire purposely, but everybody was safe. But it burned up a whole floor and ruined a few down because of the water damage.
Wow. So that plan, those lyrics were just burned up.
Yeah, it was the old Holiday Inn. It's now not a Holiday Inn, but it was like that. It was the old Holiday Inn. I was in room 182. No, I was in room 782. I think it was something like that.
Okay. Well, how scary was that?
Yeah.
Corrine Hill.
Hi,
Jay
Corrine.
and Karen, I'm having fun doing my family tree. How far back have you managed to get on yours? And have you found any famous ancestors?
Okay, and now you're talking about a fun subject.
We both have gone back to Adam a few times.
Because you know how they do that. People say, how do you do that? Well, because the kings were so documented. If you can get back to a king or a royalty, you'll go back to Adam because they documented.
Couldn't be royal without showing their pedigree and proving who they were.
So several times we got back to Adam because we have royalty. A lot of people do in their history. But I think...
you have several of the famous Romans. I need to write them down for you guys. It's really interesting. We both have
family
Robert
history.
the Bruce.
Robert the Bruce was, I think, one of my favorite.
We both have Joseph of Arimathea.
Joseph of Arimathea.
I'm trying to think. Anyway, I'll go write them down. Yours.
But we love, family
I
search.
have Cleopatra. Is that interesting?
And guess what? Pocahontas.
Well,
and I kid you not.
That's an ant. Because I have Native American in me, but it's
but you go back.
Mashpee Wampanoag, and then a couple of other.
Is
Native
that cool?
Americans. Anyway, but it's really fun to do family history. And you know the thing is about family history that I love, if you can get into the system where you feed into the system, and you do that by reconciling, like maybe some of your relatives a few up, when you find duplicates and you merge them, you have to know what you're doing. And you get into the system, the LDS or FamilySearch.org, not LDS.org, FamilySearch.org.
Because that's for everybody, not just LDS, right?
People from everywhere are scanning in documents and adding them in. So once you get like 4 generations back and you feed into the system, it's like the most complete database in the world. Yeah. So
and it's for everybody, not just LDS.
Oh yeah, and you don't have to pay anything to do it. So it's FamilySearch.org. But it's just fun to see how many nationalities you are, because people, you'd think, well, I'm whatever nationality, but a lot of people people migrated a lot back
Yes.
when the world was smaller, as far as, population, and, where, they would be born in Germany and then they die in the UK, or, or whatever. People, anyway, fascinating stuff. So we're glad you're doing it, and we would recommend everybody to go on there and get a free account. And I think too, when you have a free account on FamilySearch.org, you can use Ancestry for free as well.
Yes.
Anyway.
Thank you for that question. That was wonderful.
That was great.
Family history has always been a fascination for me. And it's just, everyone wants to know what their roots are.
Yes.
You know, everybody, I think, has that desire to know where did I come from? What was my great-great-grandfather or whatever, So,
Jerry Corsoni
Jerry Georger, okay.
Okay, did you and your brothers see or keep any gifts that were given to you at your concerts?
Oh,
I gave you
yes.
beaded rose with a note in 1972 at your concert in Long Island, New York. I did receive a thank you postcard, which is better than what we do. Oh my gosh, you guys, if you even knew how crazy our lives are, we always think we want to write back to you. But I can attest to that, because he has tubs full of 70s mail and little gifts and thoughtful gifts, like little handmade things. He keeps them, and I don't fight him on it. I think it's adorable.
I love old fan mail.
He loves it. He loves you all. I do too.
I do.
I love you
well,
all
because
too.
you know why? Because when we were little, of course, my mother was always careful about responding to people when they write or whatever. But when we were in the fans would write, my mother said, "Now these are so wonderful people, and you got to get to know them." And so she'd read fan mail to us, and so you grew up like some of them like we're brothers and sisters kind of thing, we're just family, and so you naturally grow up loving the fan mail, and it was fun.
Thank you from Sweden. Someone said, we miss Sweden.
Robert and Maria, Bosa and Lulu.
We just miss it. Okay.
Oh, man.
Crazy Horses will always be yourself. I don't care who sings it. I do love One Way Ticket. Could you drum that out sometime? And why did you choose drums as your bass instrument?
Mary Wilson, thank you for that question. I Crazy Horses is my his identity, I guess it would be. But One Way Ticket is, I loved playing that one on the drums too. When I remember playing it, it was down in the basement of Riviera, and it was we were doing the Plan album there in the basement of Riviera Apartments, and I remember we were trying to figure out how do you start this song, because it was like, hey, come on. And so I thought, how would what would catch an attention? And then all of a sudden I just thought of it, like, hey, Jay, do whatever you want to do. You count it off or whatever. And I'm just going to do a roll, and you watch my head go down.
Oh. And
so I just did the roll, and everyone was watching me. Hey, and I missed the symbol. I went, hey, I'll never forget that feeling. It was supposed to hit, and I just went. I was thinking more about my head, and hey, and I caught. But I don't know why that just stuck out in my mind to remember. Little things come back to me.
Those are fun, but that's what they love. Those little memories, and
we were just in Riviera not too long ago with our friends who own this wonderful Mexican history.
Yes.
If you ever stop by the Riviera, boy, go to that history. It's beautiful. And our friends there, they took us down to the basement where we recorded that, and all of a sudden these memories, because I put up all the insulation and and all that stuff for this drum booth, and it was like I went back in time. And you know how songs will make you go back in time, and you remember even how the smells come back. I remember that moment there when I did that drum roll for One Way Ticket, and I was watching that, and I goes, oh, all those memories come back.
We are already at an hour, Jay.
No.
Yes. Let's do a couple more questions.
My biggest frustration, and I'm sure it's for you too, is can you answer my question? I want to answer every question, but I don't know how.
Here's another one here. Let's see, Lynn Woodward.
Hi, Lynn.
Jay, did you write music on that the Osmonds sang, and if so, which songs do you play the drums, or was it just your passion?
Great question, Lynn. Okay, yes, I wrote most all the songs with the brothers, with the three brothers, but how it started was I was on the drums, and then Wayne, of course, guitar, Merrill bass, and Alan keyboards, and so I would usually come up with the beat for the song. So most all the songs that we've written, I would always start it with a beat, and so I would take it. I said, "Here's a good feel, guys," and I'd come up with a. And then Merrill, not always, but he'd come up with. But Wayne was the one that came up with the riff, always like the hook. We called it the hook. Merrill would come up with some melody, and Alan take usually the lyrics and some of the melodies.
What a team!
It was a great team effort, but it was so. But I played on a lot of the songs on our records.
You guys all played your own.
Yeah, and where it started was Yo-Yo, really, because we were in Muscle Shoals, and the band was late coming, and so we played it. We just did the song called Yo-Yo because the band was supposed to come in and play it. And Rick Hall saw us playing. Merrill was on the bass, and he says, "I don't need the band. You guys play." This was way back in Yo-Yo,
great.
and so since then we played a lot of our old stuff.
Because you learned all that on Andy, right?
Yeah, we learned. Yeah.
That was great learning years there.
So that was a good question. Thank you.
Back in the 70s, you guys must have ones where you were all sick before the concert, but you still did it. Can you tell us, please, about that?
Oh.
So I've seen you guys be sick.
There's several times we were sick.
Run off stage and go throw up or whatever. And
there's several times, and you go out and you're not feeling well at all. So Father said one time, he said, "Guys, how do you think baseball players do it? You think they have to go out and they have to score, they have to perform. All right, toughen up, guys," because he was a sergeant.
Yeah.
And boy, he was very, very strong-minded.
So when you were even little.
Oh boy, he says, "Guys, doesn't matter. People buy a ticket. They want to see you perform. It doesn't matter. So if you're sick, get out of yourself and just act, and act and make it." So I thought, okay, yes sir. So I went up there one time. I was just like sick as a dog, but I had the show, and you know that term, "the show must go on."
Yeah.
You know how many times I heard that from Father? Show must go on, boys.
Wow.
And so it really made us really strong. And it helped us I could even overcome. Sometime I remember being so sick, but I learned, I pulled myself out of myself sometimes. And I just said, just act through it. You can get through this. You can make it. And he was doing us a great favor, by the way. He was teaching us about life. Sometimes you can get through things.
My mommy heart for a minute felt so sad for you.
Well, my sweet mother was always there at the inside with treats and hugs. And, "Oh, you can do it, but you're wonderful." My mother's so sweet.
A great lesson in overcoming even your physical self.
Even the physical.
Overcoming hard things. But I've seen you guys, I remember that was one of the things that when we were first married, I noticed all three of you that were touring at that time together. If someone was sick, you would never know it. You walk onto the stage and a switch flips, and you're,
I remember even when I worked at BYU, I don't you ever take sick days? Well, yeah, but I mean, of course, there's times you can't. There's sick days, you have to take it.
Yeah.
But,
here's a good one. You're gonna love this one. Neil Lancaster, you mentioned being taught to play the drums by Ronnie Tutt. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you witness Ronnie playing with Elvis?
Oh, gosh, that's how I got to know Ronnie. We would come over to watch Elvis at the show, and in fact, if you go on one of his albums, I think it's in something in Hawaii or something.
Well, it says live.
Live.
It's a live album.
I've written it. It's in there. Anyway, he mentions. He says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, my buddies," or something. The Osmond Brothers. It's in there. It's in the album.
And then once, also when he's going live, someone said a curse word or something. He says, "Hey, none of that. The Osmonds are here."
That's right. He said it twice in his albums. Elvis did.
Yeah.
And for you researchers, you can find that.
So Ronnie Tutt, what did you notice about Ronnie when he was drumming for Elvis?
I just knew how intense he was. You know, he was like intense.
Yeah.
And so but I got to know him, and he's like the coolest, mildest guy you ever imagined. But and then when that's how we got to know him, through Elvis. And then but then when he would also Neil, he'd go on the road.
So didn't he go on the road with you
and then
guys?
he went on our
was your drummer for a little
1980s
while?
tour. He went on our 80s tour, world tour. He was with us to Japan and everything. And so he was with us, and on the bus, he'd teach me some licks, and he'd teach me about technique. But what I learned about these great drummers is that
because you had Jimmy Gordon.
Jimmy Gordon was like amazing. Mm-hmm. He was with John Lennon, Imagine. Remember the song Imagine? Yeah. And he did the George Harrison's Something in the Way, you know.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That's
song.
why I love these drummers.
Wow.
But anyway, they taught me more about feeling. Ronnie says what he does, he listens to the bass. That was his thing. He listens to the bass for his kick drum. He just doesn't do a kick drum. He was doing. And then Jimmy Gordon, he taught me about the right hand being a metronome, you know. Little techniques all along the way.
Ronnie talking about we should ask his permission and put that interview you did. You interviewed Ronnie.
Oh, yes.
Just a couple of years ago when we were in Nashville.
Oh, I got to get
talking about why Elvis chose him as his drummer.
Yes.
And it's because he was so tuned into Elvis. Every other drummer went there and showed off.
To try to show off, you know.
But he listened and watched Elvis.
Every move
he responded to everything he did.
That's right.
And hey, Ronnie and Donna just had a wedding anniversary, so we wanted to wish them happy anniversary.
Sweet Ronnie
people.
and Donna.
Yes.
Wonderful people.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for reminding me about that.
We wanted to go last summer and visit them again, and because of COVID we couldn't go, but maybe this summer we can go to Nashville.
Oh, such wonderful people. But you're right. He would watch Elvis. Everything he'd move, and he'd catch.
He'd go slow. You know how Elvis loved? He had that style where he would, break
he'd
into
go like
dancing
this, like a karate. Well, he'd do a karate move.
But he'd go faster, and then he'd go slower, and then he'd stop, and then he'd go.
And he did it to see if you'd follow him.
But he did that in his concerts. But that's why he needed a drummer that would follow his every move.
And Ronnie was the last one to audition for Elvis, and
of hundreds.
But the audition was over, and Ronnie didn't get a chance, right?
Right.
And Elvis said, "All right, go ahead. You've come a long ways." He was really nice. You've come a long ways. I think from Texas, or so Ronnie came from Texas to up to Nashville, and so they did it one more time because they were all done.
The band was all packing up.
The band didn't want to do it, and they did it one more time, just a couple songs. And Elvis was blown away.
Yep. And he's such a sweet guy too. Anyway.
Great guys.
Well, we're over an hour.
I don't want to be over.
Anyway.
I love the questions.
So now we can take you to all these new places up in Wyoming, and we were going to go to Jackson Hole today.
But we wanted to start it here.
It was a long day yesterday, traveling and everything, and getting to where we are, and my goodness. But we'll have some great adventures coming up.
Yeah.
And please pray for us that we can settle. Oh my goodness, we're just so tired.
Yeah. But we're on a good path. We love you. Thank you for checking in with us.
We love you all.
We'll see you. Connect with us next week.
Next Saturday.
I think we'll either be in Jackson or somewhere fun.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.